What's up, Internet? Welcome back to Geeks and Company. My name is JS, and it's bright and early. It's actually, it's not even 8 in the morning yet.
All right, it's Saturday morning, the morning of FANEXPO.
First convention back since, well, the pandemic, really. So this is going to be amazing.
I got my contacts in, I got my bodysuit on, I'm almost all ready. I'm going to pack up, I'm going to head over to JS's.
The suits are all packed in the car, our rescue kits are packed. Everything is ready to go. Basically, all that's missing is for us to get ready, eat a little bit,
And then we're going to head to Toronto. See you there, boys and girls.
So we are now in Toronto. We just got off the highway. We're about 2 or 3 minutes away from the convention center. When we get there, we're first going to go get our tickets. Check our staffs at Weapons Check to make sure that, they'll let us in with them. And then get into the show. So I don't know how much actual talking that we're going to be doing versus just videos of us walking the show and the floor. You're definitely going to see some video of us meeting up with Jeff at one point. It's right here. But yeah, don't know how much talking we'll be doing, so we'll see you on the show floor. Hi, my name is Jean-Sebastien, but I go by JS. I am the founder of the Geeks and Company.
Hey, my name is Rob. I go by Rob the Bad Guy online.
I am a talent acquisition specialist by day.
I'm an enterprise IT admin kind of guy.
Cosplayer, prop maker,
Maker, a builder, occasionally I'm a cosplayer.
but I'm a full-time geek, as you can probably see by my office.
And I'm a full-time geek and a member of the Geeks and Company.
Oh man, we were so excited that FANEXPO was actually going to happen this year.
It was like Christmas. Here we are, 2 years into the pandemic by this time. We had built the costumes, refined the costumes, kept adding things to the costumes. We were ready to go.
We actually did a full-blown dress rehearsal the weekend before. We got into our suits. We wanted to make sure that everything was going to work, everything was functional, everything was still fitting. You got to remember, these suits are now 2 years old. We've put on a lot of weight over the period of this pandemic. But we had also added some electronics, mainly the sound. So we wanted to make sure that that was not only going to work, but that it wasn't going to, get unhooked or get damaged, or that we were going to have a hard time moving in it or whatnot. We wanted to make sure that everything was going to be good so that when we got to the convention center, we didn't have to worry about anything. We just get there, get dressed, hit the floor, and we'd be good to go.
One lady, she jumped out and she was like, "Oh my God, it's my favorite movie. Can I take a picture with you guys?" And we're like, "Yeah, absolutely. Like, we love doing this. This is awesome for sure. Take a picture."
For me, though, the fun part is almost, I enjoy the making part almost more than I enjoy the going to the con part. Don't get me wrong, I still love going to cons. It's a lot of fun, but for me, going to a convention is almost more about showing off what I made. getting people to see it more than the actual, getting dressed and going out there. Now, to be fair, it is a lot of fun, especially if you've got a cosplay that connects with people and everybody wants to see you, they want to talk to you, they want to take pictures with you. That's an amazing feeling. But yeah, I like the making part. For me, that's very relaxing. I'll sit in, my workshop, which used to be my kitchen table. I could sit there for hours sanding on some 3D printed prop. Very relaxing for me. It really is my hobby. The making part is my hobby.
The reaction that we got from people, it was something I didn't expect. So here's me, regular guy. I put on a costume that means actually more to the people that are out there, going to cons and there for the experience and their favorite movies and their favorite characters. And, I was really into the characters I'm doing, but to see their reaction and them wanting to come up and take pictures with me, it's quite an interesting experience. You feel like a rock star. Because we had put in the sound, and the sound was pretty loud. Like, it was really good speaker built into this. So as soon as we kind of walked in, turned on or pressed the buttons for our sound, and you hear the clicking, just like 100 heads just turned and looked at us.
There you go. There you are. All righty, brother. This is so sick right here. You guys look so good.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I met JS a number of years ago at a little convention that was taking place in Oshawa, Ontario. And then last year, JS was starting a new podcast and asked if I would co-host it with him. Had a great time with the Geek Boutique podcast, but all that led to FANEXPO last October, where JS and I got to meet up at the convention. I'm pretty sure I was wearing my Peacemaker cosplay, and JS and his friend Rob were in their absolutely stunning, amazing Predator cosplays.
Going through the crowd, just trying to hurriedly getting into the show so you can actually start walking the floor. But the minute we actually got onto the floor, we barely made 3 steps, and a group of people wanted to stop us and take pictures. 3 more steps and more people stopping us to take pictures. There were points where there were lineups of people wanting to take pictures with us.
Within the first 5 minutes, I had probably 100 pictures taken with me or of me or with other people. So that was awesome. That was an exhilarating feeling. And even the people who were taking pictures with me, I'm looking at them wearing my mask, and I'm like, oh my God, look at their costume. That's an amazing costume. And here they are wanting to take pictures with me. It was really bizarre feeling, but it was a good feeling. It was exhilarating. It was pretty amazing.
I got as much interaction with them as I could because their cosplays were just so incredibly well done. They couldn't even move without getting people wanting to interact with them and do stuff with them.
We started building these Predators in, I want to say, November of 2019. We were originally making these costumes for FANEXPO 2020. Unfortunately, in March of 2020, the pandemic hit. And I can't exactly remember when, but eventually the con was completely canceled. That said, that gave us a full other year. So FANEXPO 2021, we figured let's kick it up a little bit of a notch. Let's add some electronics, more lights, sound to these. which is what we did over a period. That really wasn't that long of a process, to be honest. That really was only a period about, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks, just to figure out how we were going to do it, get all the supplies, etc., etc. But we did add sound. So all in all, we've been working and tinkering on these suits for, I want to say, about 2 years. But really, the core build took about a year.
Halloween is tough for children with disabilities because of things like stairs, for intellectual mobility and sensory disabilities. So by treating from the end of your driveway, you create a trick-or-treating experience for the 400,000 children in Canada with disabilities. This sign at the end of your driveway tells neighbors with disabilities that you'll trick-or-treat on Halloween from the end of the driveway, so they can make a stop there. It's actually very scary.
So I want to say the most complicated part of this build had to be the head. The head was very involved. Obviously there's the biomask. It is the centerpiece, the feature of the Predators. Hard to not recognize these guys. So this is the first one that I made. I learned a lot about the process of making this look like it's metal, making it look like it's banged up. This was attempt number 1, essentially. Once we had the biomask needed to attach to something. It needed to attach to her head. Then we had the big Predator dreads, another key feature of the Predators. Those also needed to attach to our heads. So we eventually came up with the idea of making basically a foam helmet. We patterned off of our heads. We made a cap that we patterned off of our heads with a gaffer tape. Made a helmet out of foam that then the dreads glue to. The biomask magnetizes. They've got a magnet system set up so that the mask will magnetize, click right on. I want to say 59 dreads. I don't know that that's correct, but there's a lot of dreads. They were all made one by one out of backer rod, which is a building material. It's used around doors and windows for insulation. The beads that go in the dreads, gluing every single individual dreads to the headpiece in a manner that will look correct, because you want the dreads to fall and look correct to hide your face and your ears and so on and so forth. So that was by far the most involved piece. I want to say to complete the head, I think that took me about 3 months.
Jess and I each bring our own specialties to what we do. He's sort of like the art director, creative director. I'm the technical director kind of, persona. My specialty, what I bring to this is the electronics, the lighting, the audio. So the most complicated part for me really was designing the electronics that were going to go into the gauntlets. So on the one gauntlet where the computer is, there was a bunch of different colored LEDs in different placements. So I had to figure out the schematics for that, wire it all up. Then when it came to the sound effects, had to figure out how to, what we're going to use to do that, what we're going to use that would make it impactful, and then how to hide it all and integrate it into the costume so that you couldn't see it, and so that it was functional and you wouldn't really damage the electronics as you were moving about, right? There was a lot of wires that are integrated into the costume, up your arms and actually around our neck. So building all of that, designing it and making it so that it wouldn't fall apart when we were there and using it, that was probably my most complicated part. But there was a lot of complicated pieces. I know JS had a lot of patterns to make and trial and error on things, but I think it really turned out well.
The undersuit is what has Predator's skin print on it. On top of that, you got what we call the skirt. On top is obviously the armor. All of the pieces of armor are foam. It's 100% EVA foam that is patterned right off of us, cut, heat shaped, sealed, painted. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, it was also a lot of work because there's a lot of different armor pieces, from the chest piece, shoulders, arms, gauntlets, thigh plates, cod and butt pieces, boot spats, boot covers. There was a lot of different pieces. It wasn't as involved as building the head, but there was just a lot of armor pieces that we're constantly having to pump out, especially when you're making 3 costumes. The last real key part is all of the bones and the little tiddly bits that, that we wear, the beads, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all actual found parts. The bones are mainly Halloween costume that I then just repainted to look more like real bones. And those are the bones that I carry on me.
This be expensive to put something like that together. This package particular, I built the mannequin. This one here took exactly 4 years to build. Just sourcing out all the parts. Like,
Could they? I don't even know if they could get one on over that.
these are like aircraft
I think
parts.
the packs
Yeah.
only
Sourcing all this stuff. It was more sourcing out all the parts. Oh, I wouldn't want to carry that on my back for
Being that I've only been cosplaying for 5 or 6 years, and 2 of those years we've essentially been in lockdown. I don't know a lot of the cosplayers, even locally, very well. I mean, I follow a lot of them online. I've spoken to a lot of them online or virtually somehow, but I don't actually know a lot of them. So it was nice to actually get to meet a lot of these people.
My name is Loki Quinn Cosplay. My friends call me Tennis. The first time I met the guys from Geeks and Co. was at a small convention a couple of years ago. First time I saw the Predator cosplays was FANEXPO 2021, and the detail and intricacies that went into it were incredible, and they were just surrounded by people trying to take it in, and honestly, they nailed it.
That was the first big con that we'd had back since all the COVID stuff. And it was great to get out and experience a different kind of FANEXPO. It was called FANEXPO Limited Edition. The layout was different. We only got half the building. We got easily less than half the people. But just to be able to get out and get to a con and experience that, and then getting to meet up with friends that either I hadn't seen in a long time or I hadn't seen at all. I got to meet some people that I'd only known online. I got to see at the cons. That's one of the really great parts about going to a convention is that level of interaction with other people. You just can't get that on social media. Even if you're going live and even if you're doing podcasts and all that stuff, that's great for what it is. But getting a chance to go to a convention and to interact with people, fans of different genres and fandoms that maybe you share, and other people that are dressing up and cosplaying, and vendors and artists and celebrities and all that cool stuff. It really is our mecca. It really is somewhere for us geeks and nerds to go to be with our people and to experience that culture on that scale. And that particular con, because it was the first one back since COVID, it was something special to a lot of us because it gave us that chance to reintegrate, to get back to have that brief, this is just before Omicron hit, so that brief moment of normal, what felt normal. Yes, you had to be double vaxxed to get in, you had to show your vax pass to get in. They give you a little bracelet to show that you had cleared that screening process. But even still, to have a convention in downtown Toronto, in the venue we're used to having the conventions at, that was something special, and I'll never forget it.
At the convention, we bumped into Jeff. Jeff is the co-host to our podcast, The Geek Boutique. And so we bumped into him at the show. We met up with Loki Quinn Cosplay, who was also on the podcast. But then I also got to meet Ben Eady. Ben Eady, professional prop man, co-founder of the Foam Armory. Ben is a prop man who's worked on movies like Ghostbusters, The Predators, Star Trek Into Darkness, etc., etc. The guy is an actual professional prop, official props and costume and effects, or prop and effects, or whatnot. I met him at FANEXPO for the first time. I had met Ben online through a prop making group. I want to say probably a couple years ago. Never really putting two and two together that they were the same people. It wasn't until I got to FANEXPO and I saw him at the Foam Armory booth that I said, "Oh, wait a second, I actually know you." So we got to chat a little bit there. Ben's actually now been on our podcast twice since. So it's been really, really nice to meet the people within the community because they've been great. Like, I can't say enough about the cosplay community, at least here in Canada, specifically in Ontario. It's been an amazing experience so far.
I'm Debbie. I'm the owner of Darkly Designed. I make nerdy items out of nerdy cotton. I like being historically accurate or accurate to film. That's my bag. Jeff, who's Messiah Complex Cosplay, he invited me to come and do their podcast. They were doing their first Trek podcast. So me being a Trek head, I was invited to come and have a wonderful time on their first Trek podcast. That was a lot of fun. And then I knew through chatting with them from the Trek podcast that they were going to be at FANEXPO as Predators. So they were very big and, very tall. The costumes looked great. I had no idea what caliber I was looking at when they had told me about it, because, cosplayers do cosplay for many, many different reasons. Was really impressed. And yeah, friendship was formed.
Did you make all of this yourself?
Yeah, 100% homemade.
That's
Amazing.
absolutely wicked. Oh, that's hilarious. Get a little claw.
Oh my god. The little green light.
Oh yeah.
Burnt out.
Oh, so that actually lights up and
It used
everything.
to, yeah, it's burnt out a bit.
Huh.
And then this thing here. I think that's burnt out halfway.
And we met a bunch of different people throughout this journey that I'm hoping to collaborate with more, right? Like, there's a bunch of different people that do have different skill sets and do different things, and work with them to make new and bigger and better costumes and maybe offer back what we can to them.
This one really hit the mark, and I did not at all expect the reaction that we got, and it was freaking amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it was so much fun playing around with the people, getting into character, especially with the sounds. I mean, we would scream and people would hear us from across the convention floor. People kept constantly saying, "Oh, that's the noise that we kept hearing all day long." So people could hear us walking the floor. If they hadn't seen us, they didn't know it was us. So either way, it was a great experience.
It was a lot of work, but it was fun work and it was awesome experience. So I would absolutely do it again, and I am definitely going to do it again. Jess and I are already brainstorming a couple new projects coming up. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do if we're able to go here to do Comic-Con in March. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do for FANEXPO. We got a couple different plans that we're already tinkering with here. The idea is to always go bigger and better. So we got to figure out something that is bigger and better than the Predators.
That's something that we want to take our time on, that we want to build over a period of time. If it takes us 2 years, 3 years to build, this I think is going to be the epitome of cosplay for us. So we're going to take our time doing that. We're going to do other things in the meantime. We've set the bar a little high for us last year at FANEXPO. I don't know that we'll ever have that kind of experience again, to be honest. It can sometimes be a little bit hit and miss as far as the cosplay that will connect with people or not. You can have one cosplay that everybody loves and goes nuts about, and then you're gonna have 12 more that just completely miss the mark. It's very, very hard to say what will work at that point and what won't. Of course, being relevant with properties that are relevant at that time helps a lot. Unfortunately, when you're building costumes that can sometimes take a couple of years to make, it's very hard to find something that's culturally relevant at that time, because you need somebody that will span those few years and still be relevant by the time you get those completed. So it is a little bit of a crapshoot, unfortunately. I don't want to go to FANEXPO. I don't want to make costumes and go to FANEXPO for the expectation of the crowd reaction that we got last year. That's not why I do it. I don't make costumes to get that response from people. I do it because A, I like making. B, I do it because, you know, I'm a geek. I love these properties. So it's important to me that when I'm making something for me, something that I like, something that I want to do. So that's why I do it. So I want to be careful about setting expectations for next year. Whatever happens, happens. But I hope we have a good time and that people still enjoy the costumes that we're making.
We're out of the convention center. We're both soaked. This was amazing.
That was amazing.
We took more pictures with people than I ever thought. We, as far as I'm concerned, were the hit of the show. We were walking down the aisles. We couldn't take 10 steps without being stopped for 30 pictures. We got stopped at one point in front of the professional cosplayer lineup where they were, you know, trying to get people to come take pictures with them, and nobody was lining up for them. They were all coming to take pictures with us. This was awesome. We had a great time. We are friggin' drenched. We were gonna go back in our regular street clothes, but we're beat. It's like almost 5 o'clock now. We've been here since what? 9:30, 10 o'clock. So we're done. This was amazing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the footage. We'll see you next time.